G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists do what they do. Well, hi folks, and welcome back to Colour in Your Life. Well, we are in Southern California today at a place called Mission Viejo. I said that right, didn't I?
Yes.
Absolutely. And I am with a very talented man, Mr. Kurt Weismair. How are you, pal?
Good, how you doing?
Welcome to the show, it's great to have you here. You're a surfer,
Yes.
been a musician, a drummer, the combination of all the way through to the fact that you actually paint these days, and you paint one of the things that you love most of all in your life.
Yeah,
which is the surf. Tell me how all this all came about.
It was a long story. Yeah, I used to play music for a long time, and then I found myself in a situation where I wasn't doing that anymore, and I always wanted to paint, so I picked up the brush, and things just kind of worked right off the bat, you know?
Yeah.
And I got just obsessed with that as I did with surfing or music or anything else, and then a few years later, here we are.
Yeah, and you actually, you paint in acrylics mostly, is that correct?
Acrylics, correct.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful paintings as well. I think the ocean really sort of does have a draw to people, but particularly you as a surfer as well. I mean, you look a little bit like Kelly Slater.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's actually happened to you before, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's happened to me before. Yeah,
Yeah.
my friends met Kelly Slater and they thought it was me from a distance, so that was funny.
That's a good rap anyway, without a doubt. But we're going to be working on one of your surf pieces today, one of the waves. I think you're going to paint a sunset, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to paint a sunset, yeah.
Okay, and we'll go through with that, obviously, you know, asking questions as we normally do, but Kurt does some really beautiful seascapes and obviously specialising in the wave. I mean, water's tricky to paint at the best of times anyway. How do you find the inspiration for your work? Do you hang out at the beach a lot? You were just saying before, when you go down there, the one scene that you see as a surfer, I mean, obviously you're looking at the land when you're out there, but the one thing that you notice when you get down there is just this one wave.
Right.
And that's the inspiration for you.
Yeah, so when I first started painting, I was looking for a subject matter, and I kind of wanted to be a little bit different, and one day I just had an epiphany. I was just sitting there staring at the surf, just checking it like surfers do. You look pretty much straight out to the ocean, and I just thought, why don't I just paint this?
Yeah.
I don't really see this too often. That's probably why it took a long time to find that, to get to that place, you know?
That's fantastic what you do. So we'll make a start on this. I'll get out of the shot so that Kurt can do what he needs to do, and then we'll follow along for the day. So let's go and have a look at these waves. All right, Kurt, one of the most horrifying things that an artist actually has to witness is a blank canvas. But we're gonna change that today. Sunset, seascape. It's gonna be beautiful. Where do we start?
Okay, so the first thing I start with all my paintings is just I take a pencil and I sketch it out.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just getting kind of boundaries, and I'm setting my basic composition or what I want to see actually within the frame. And so let's get started.
Okay.
So I'm not getting out a level, and I'm not making this absolutely perfect, but I'm just kind of taking my time. I'm not worried about anything at this point.
So you use one of those little clutch pencils?
Yeah, whatever I really have at the moment, you know. The reason I chose to make this composition today is one, for the size, and that's just so the viewers can kind of see a painting come along fairly quickly.
Sure.
As opposed to my other work where you're going to have a lot of detail work, and it's not going to be the most exciting thing in the world to watch.
So do you take your own reference photos when you head there?
For my big detailed paintings, I'll use my own reference photos, yes. I'll just go down to the beach, and I have a few cameras that I use. Most of the times I'm just using my iPhone because the camera's so good now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for these ones, there's no reference photo. This is just a composition that I've developed over the past year.
Yeah.
And it really lets me explore paint in different color palettes.
away we go.
Okay.
So you use paper plates for your pellet? Just throw them away.
I use paper plates. My wife was commenting about it one day that it seemed kind of silly, you know, but maybe Gloria Vanderbilt was a painter, I think it was, and they were showing a documentary and she was using paper plates. So for my wife was like, oh, okay, it's fine, you can use them.
Whatever works.
Going. Yeah, whatever works.
And I can see you've got some Royal Talons.
I got Royal Talons there.
Liquitex, Winsor & Newton. And then you're using Princeton brushes.
Princeton brushes, yeah. So at a certain point, you know, a lot of these companies, the quality it's not in question. You know, it's more of a preference of what you like to use. So when I was contacting people I have a brush sponsorship through Princeton, so when I was contacting them and other people, the reason I went with them is the people that are behind the company. It's interesting that sometimes you'll gel and work with the people in a company and you'll get along with them.
Yeah.
You'll get a sense of why the company is how it is, and it's always because of the people behind it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, Howard Kaufman, who's the founder of Princeton, he's a fantastic man that's been involved in art for decades.
Right, and I've been talking to Willow Wolf, who is
she's a fantastic artist herself.
She's a fantastic artist, and she's just great to work with. So,
okay.
I'll lay on paint pretty thick
Yeah.
and pretty fast.
Are you sort of using the side of the brush?
I'm using the side of the brush for these ones. It's strange how some techniques just make sense on certain compositions, and on certain other compositions, it just doesn't feel right. So just like the pencil, when I'm sketching in, I'm taking my time, but I'm not worried about, I guess, mistakes, if that's what you want to call it.
Now, I noticed one thing that I think is really fascinating. You have students, but they don't really ever come to the house. They're where they need to be, wherever it is in the world.
Technology.
Yeah, and you actually teach people using Skype.
Yep.
Which is fantastic. It's an amazing idea, and you know, anybody that's out there watching Kurt at the moment, if you want a lesson from Kurt, you can do it on the computer with him, which is great.
Yeah, all about convenience.
Yeah.
And nowadays, maybe not half, but a good chunk of the actual, you know, marketing or business or the, you know, work that goes into being an artist is learning to use technology to your advantage and just to communicate with other people, because everybody's pretty busy, right?
Yeah, and it's even the inconvenience of traveling to a class. I mean, it's fantastic to be in a classroom with a great teacher by any means, but if you can use the technology to convey to people the information that they need, I mean, why not?
And these composition I developed as well, because when I do my larger pieces, there's a lot of detail involved. So it can get strenuous after a little while. And with these ones, I really get to have fun. I mean, I just, you know, put a gob on the... There's something about putting a big gob of paint on a brush and just the sensation of a lot of paint running across a canvas.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You were saying before that there's a synergy as well between your art and your music.
Yeah.
So then there was the crossover at that stage where, obviously being a drummer, you sort of thought, well, deep inside there was the passion to be an artist. And I suppose it's very much the same thing in the end anyway, yeah.
For me, it's very much the same. For me, I relate to art through music.
Yeah.
Everything for teaching, explanations on anything. To put it all into words, I always go back to music. I was playing music for 20 plus years. I did art in school, you know, just like anybody generally does. And I remember like making some good paintings. I was surprised. I was like, wow, that looks pretty cool, you know? But at the same time, I haven't talked to him in a long time. His name is Courtney Hampston. I met him freshman year, and he was already doing incredible stuff, you know, in freshman year, so he'd obviously been painting for a long time.
Yeah.
And he was doing stuff that was really politically charged, religious themes, really, you know, and his palette was very complex, and it looked just unattainable.
Yeah.
You know, he was literally like doing magic, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when you see a musician, if you've never played before, it's magic.
Yes.
You know, it's like, how do these people make these instruments sing like that, you know? But after a while, you learn that it's just practice. A lot of people are talented at a lot of things.
Yeah.
But after a while of getting involved with something, you realize not how little magic there is, but if you really want to get good, you're going to have to practice for the rest of your life.
This is a long apprenticeship, I can assure you.
Yeah, it never stops.
Yeah.
But with the internet, you're really at an advantage to past generations.
Very much so.
Just if you're proactive with it, you can reach really unlimited, but right off the bat, you can have hundreds of people looking at your stuff just through Facebook or whatever you want to choose, you know?
Color in your life.
Color in your life. For people that are maybe shy, at first there is that little hesitation.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you do play music or when you do art or when you do something with the public, I guess there's always that sense of failure. That there's a possibility that people won't like your stuff. But after a while, you learn that that's not, you know, the most important thing. We all like people. I do this. Obviously, I'm on your show. I like other people to see my art, you know? But at the end, you know, you got to do it for yourself.
Absolutely. It's surprising how much diversity you can actually have when you're just simply painting a wave. Because it's none is ever the same. There's one that you've got called Pacific at Laguna, and it's a beautiful spot down there. It's one of those areas that you surf, isn't it?
Right.
But it's just a beautiful piece. You know, as I said, you could take 1,000 shots and none of them would be the same. Yeah, even the piece Pacific Opus, the light that's coming through is quite amazing. You can see that's an early morning shot, and then the shadow of the wave coming through the water as well.
Right.
It's just quite amazing. It's really a beautiful piece. It's incredible.
Thank you.
You've got another one called Seascape, and there's one particular artist that you're very fond of that does cityscapes, and
Right.
you're trying to apply some of those techniques in your own work.
So we were talking about Jeremy Mann
There you
earlier,
go.
where he was the first artist. He's a San Francisco-based artist,
Yep.
and he was the first artist where I saw his work, and I just said, that's what I want to do. He does have a subject matter, so he paints cityscapes and figures, but he does a lot of different techniques. You would call it mark making.
Yep.
And it's basically controlled abstraction. So the sky, there's a lot of blending going on with the sky. As a matter of fact, it's all blending. Yeah, so this time of the year, when fall comes around, is when you're going to get the best sunsets. Because you got those clouds that come back. In the summertime, there's just no clouds here, you know? Yeah, and canvases, I like a lot of tooth. You know, if you want to go linen or whatever, you can get real fine, you know? So it's all preference. It depends on the artist, but I really like a canvas that has a lot of tooth.
Grabs the paint.
Grabs the paint. Even lately, I've been using unprimed wood.
And you've actually got one, it looks like it's on a piece of timber, I think it's birch, and using the texture of the timber.
I really liked it twofold. One for how the wood accepted the paint, and then another way, I like the look of wood. I think it looks really cool, you know, all the grains and stuff. I'll even do night scenes.
Yeah, you've got those, it's the Harbour Lights series that you've done.
Yeah.
They look fantastic, and there's the other one, the Dana Point Harbour, which it's a really dark piece, but you can obviously see it's at night time. So.
Right. Okay, so we're just blocking in here. So blocking in is, you know, whether you're academically trained or you're self-taught or anything like that, that's definitely a huge step, is learning to block in. Understanding that painting is a process, really, no matter what you're doing. And there's steps that need to be taken. I think a lot of people, when they look at art, you think that it might be perfection, that a person is doing a mark here and a mark there, and it just perfectly develops. But over time, you really see how you really need to take these simple, basic steps to get where you want to get to.
Yeah. So there's another piece that you've got called the Dana Point Shipyard, which is a fantastic piece. It's once again, very different from what you're doing with your seascapes.
I like to experiment with different techniques, different tools, different colors.
Well, the one thing I have noticed is that from painting a lot from memory, because you don't have any reference photos with
Right.
you. So it's coming out of the brain box.
Right, and that's why these ones are so fun.
Yeah.
You're not worried about copying something, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And you could see right away how you get that depth and that warmth with the second layer. And you can still see how fast I'm moving, These paintings really seem to, they do come out the best.
Yeah.
The faster I move and the less I think about things. And it's funny because being a surfer, you learn to observe nature a lot just to get the best waves that you can. Okay, for the next part, I'm gonna start adding some clouds right now.
So you've just got ultramarine and white there, have you?
Just ultramarine and white, and that's it. And I'll probably do another layer where I add some orange in there. At a certain point, when you're trying to master your craft, time is a huge part of that. You don't want to spend forever doing one painting.
Yeah.
Being a drummer, I really relate to a lot of music through numbers. You have your time signatures. I'm not sure, you had 4/4 beats, simple ones, and then you can go into more complex, and even scales and things like that. Everything works in kind of the universe works in a mathematical nature. Everything can be boiled down to numbers.
The whole thing is based on mathematics.
Yeah. And you can see, as far as technique, I'm not doing that side swipe anymore with the clouds. I'm just going in a vertical and horizontal manner.
Making cloud shapes.
And making cloud shapes. And that's just to break up the composition just a little bit. So there's some difference in there. So this part, it's such a narrow strip. I have to be a bit delicate and a little bit precise. But not too much so. I just want to make sure, that I'm not making a big splotch mark over here that I have to deal with, And even if I do put these highlights down or shadows on the water, whatever you want to call them, once they dry, they'll really set in with the base of the navy-ish blue, and they'll really settle in and blend together really well. Even if they look like they might be clashing a little bit at first. I do like it when I put a color down and it doesn't necessarily match, and I almost can't explain to you what color it is. I almost say it's a red, but then it's kind of a peachy violet to it, So then you're getting to really, your colors are getting a lot of depth to them.
There's another piece that you've got here called Water's Edge.
Yeah, so that one was one of the first ones I did where it's not a crashing wave. It's a wave that is in the process of crashing.
Yeah.
So there's almost a spider web of white water moving throughout the wave.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting towards the finish here. And even though, I'm looking for just tiny parts that I'm not necessarily happy with, but maybe the observer might not notice, but I will. And it's really satisfying finishing a painting. For some reason, starting a painting, putting a few swipes of color on really feels good, and then putting those last few swipes of color really feel good as well. It's somewhere in those middle stages where you're kind of pulling your hair out at some points, or lack of hair, so I don't know what I'm doing with that.
I always think about the 3/4 stage of a painting. It's like, oh God.
It's almost there, but it's not, and there's so much completed, but
Still got so much to do.
Yeah, anticipation.
Yeah.
And I use a lot of different techniques. This is just a technique I use for this composition and this subject matter of when I'm painting. But I really enjoy switching the size of the painting, the size of the canvas, and switching techniques just to keep things interesting. final bit going on the canvas will be just straight white.
Yeah.
And since I've been using this brush the whole canvas, I'm gonna get a fresh brush with no paint on it.
It's one brush went a long way.
Yep. So that way that brush really just has that solid white color. And for this one as well, I'm not gonna dip it in the water. Just gonna go in with a dry brush. You know, you imagine the sun being circular, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in reality, the way your eye sees it, it's a lot of times it'll be hard to see the border of it.
Yeah.
And that's where, when I was referencing form and color. And then the final stage is the signature.
The final stage.
It's funny too, my signature has evolved over time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course on checks or something like that it stays the same, but before I used to do my actual signature, and then for whatever reason, I switched to my initials. I don't know why, just happened.
KW.
KW.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons is because a lot of people have a hard time pronouncing my last name. So I was just making it easy on them. A lot of times people think they're hurting my feelings because they mispronounce my name.
Yeah.
But everybody does, so, you know, so it doesn't matter. A lot of times with the signature, I will go with the color that's opposite to the area that I'm painting. So if I'm doing the signature on this canvas, it's going to be blue because that's the opposite color.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of ties it into all together,
Yeah.
I guess you would say. There you go.
Ta-da! Well done.
Thank you.
Well, fantastic day. A surfer that paints the surf. That's pretty cool. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank
Really
you.
well done.
Thanks for having me.
I think also with what Kurt does, particularly with the Skype lessons, it's using technology, which Kurt is doing very much these days with his business. And art, it's a business for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's well and good looking at art and sort of saying, oh, look, I want to paint pretty pictures, but you've got to manage yourself correctly as well. And
Right.
Skype is an absolutely great way to do that. And if people from all over the world want to come in and spend some time with you,
Of course.
fantastic, isn't
Yeah, be my guest.
it? Your website details.
www.kurtweismair.com.
Beautiful. But that's fantastic. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Also, you can come and see us at colouryourlife.com.au and go into our Facebook page and our YouTube page. Lots of things going on there these days. Plus our gallery. Make sure you go and have a look at our gallery. We've got lots of stuff in there as well. We're going to head off again. We have to head down to San Diego and see some people down there. Had a great time. Thank you very much, pal. But
you.
remember, guys, as we always say, make sure you put some colour in your life, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.